Hello there, I'm Guildmaster Dan, and welcome to the Fourth Wall. Something I've been meaning to talk about is world building. Now, granted, when it comes to giving advice on world building and in fleshing out your settings and your campaigns, there's a lot out there to address. So, I can't just do one episode. So instead, I'm going to start a new segment today that specifically focuses on, my advice when it comes to fleshing out your worlds and your campaigns. Specifically today, we're going to be starting with uh, one of my main tools, if you will, something that I like to do whenever I'm building a setting, regardless of what genre it's in. And it's something that I like to call the rule of three. So, Dan, what is the rule of three? Well, uh, the rule of three is something that I came up with based off of um, academic theory, specifically uh, around the idea of how many sides there are to an argument. See, when I'm building a setting, I tend to look at it in terms of conflicts because when it comes to what your players are actually going to do, or even just telling a good story, it always comes down to the conflicts, and those will dictate what your players or your characters in the story can actually do in the story and how those conflicts build those characters' lives and how they affect them and how they play off of them. Well, when it comes to when you're writing a paper or giving an academic argument, um, a lot of English teachers will tell you, or a lot of English instructors will tell you that there aren't two sides to an argument. I mean, there's a lot of prevailing thinking out there. There's a lot of polarizing out there where people like to think, good and evil, light and dark. Well, that is not the case. Um, to any argument, there's always more than just two arguments. There's always at least three. There's actually many different aspects to any given argument because there's many things that inform it. Well, just like in that, when I'm building a world, I look at the conflicts of it. And what I try and do is I start as macro as possible and look at and figure out what conflict I want to happen or what could be there, and then I'll start working my way down into the different segments and building a three facets of each section. And to better help explain this, we're going to do a little experiment here. We're going to go ahead and improv build a setting, just a real rough setting from most macro level down to most micro level. And, just as an example of how I would normally do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our genre and we're going to do, basic as basic can be, high fantasy. Well, again, we want to start macro, which means want to start on, when it comes to fantasy, you're looking at the metaphysical or the planar level. You're looking at the realm of the gods. So, okay, what conflict do we have here? Well, I'm looking for three sides. I'm seeing three elder gods. One is the god of order, one is the god of chaos, and the third is the god of progression. Now, obviously, order and chaos are at odds, but progression is kind of that third one where it's a different perspective to the way the world works. So while order is obviously aligned with law and with justice, and chaos is aligned with freedom and expression. You have your third one, progress, which is maybe a domain of death and the domain of life. And of course, to flesh that out, you could go from those main three and go down from there. Flesh out their pantheon by having minor aspects. maybe, that maybe progress has a child with both of the other gods, blah, blah, blah. You can fill out your pantheon with minor aspects of those three core values. All right, so we have our macro level. We have three elder gods: progress, order, and chaos. At, they are at odds because they are three different aspects of the world, three different ways of looking at the world. So all their followers are going to be at odds. The gods themselves can be at odds. You can come up with whatever story. The basic conflict is that their alignments are at odds. Go down from there. All right, now we go to a global level. Now, in a high fantasy setting, you don't really see a lot of global politics going on unless you're dealing with world empires, similar to, like, let's say, the World of Warcraft setting, where you have two global empires and they're at war, similar to the World Wars. Um, Except for settings like that, you don't typically see a lot of global politicking. You might see more like trade or something like that. But just for the sake of sticking with the rule of three and informing us about this world on a global scale, um, there will be at least three primary continents. And of those continents, we'll just base them around, what sort of stories we would tell there. One continent is based around, say, traditional Western mythology, just like we would see in most Dungeons and Dragons setting. Another one based around Asian mythologies, just like we'd see in, the Oriental Adventures ones, based around all the different Asian mythologies. And then the third one, we'll say Mesoamerican mythologies, because I like those. I like those myths and creatures. Um, so you have three primary continents. They aren't necessarily at war, don't necessarily deal with each other a lot, save for maybe sparse trade because their continents are far apart. And when you're dealing with a high fantasy, and you're dealing with large distances, and you're not at that point unless you're at a high magical level where they're really communicating, do all that. So you have your three main areas, and maybe there are some other minor continents that might be close to them, might be minorly attached to them, but those are your three main there. So you have your three elder gods, you have your three core mythologies on your three main continents. Now, let's go to because I don't want to run in the. I don't want to. I don't think my players are ready for the Mesoamerican stuff yet. Maybe I'll throw that in later. And I don't really feel like running an Asian mythology adventures right now. So we're gonna go to my continent that has the Western mythology, and start there. Okay, so now we've gone down to the continent. Now it comes down to what you're down to the national level, where you're seeing, or at least the international level, where you're seeing a conflict between nations. Okay, so what sort of conflict we can have here? Well, easiest way to do this is three nations, or two nations and, say, an organization, because that's similar to what we're looking at with the gods. So let's do that, actually. That sounds interesting. So on this continent, we have two major nations, two empires at war over either territory, resources. In this case, we'll go ahead and we'll say they're at war over resources. Um, maybe maybe this continent is not necessarily the most fleshed out kind. Maybe it does have its areas of green, but maybe there's a large desert there, or things are sparse. Maybe there was a large cataclysm in the past that made that really made everything hard to get. Maybe this continent is mostly desert, it's like the Sahara. So maybe these. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Here we go. Go back. Resource: fighting for water. Perfect. This continent is, yeah, I realize that's kind of getting back towards like different mythology, but no, this continent is a desert continent, and the resource that these two empires are fighting over is mainly water, because where there is water, there is power. There's trade, there's drinking water, there's water for agriculture, there's water to feed your livestock. Water is the main conflict on this continent, and two nations are at war with it. Now, obviously, you have your two sides of that. There's also an organization on this continent that holds a lot of power, and if on this continent where these two empires are fighting over water, what could this organization be concerned with? They might not be. It might not be concerned actually with the water at all. This organization could be a secret society. This organization is concerned primarily with holding power. While these two nations are fighting over something practical like water, this organization wants to control land. It wants to control territory. And as such, it's specifically recruits people that are capable of holding positions of power, whether that's through guile, through force, or through just influence. And they put them in places where the organization will have the most influence. So now you have these three primary powers dealing on the planet or on this continent. Two empires fighting over water, and then a organization which is vying to control both of those empires. Maybe it has religious reasons for doing that. Maybe this secret society or this secret society is was founded by the cult of the progressive elder god, and they believe that all the races need to progress to a certain point to reach their prophesied utopia. And in order to do that, they need to take control of everybody so that they can guide society to reaching that utopia. And maybe then the elder god of progress will come down and reign or something like that. But okay, so you have the motivations of both those continents or both those nations. They want the water. You could probably flesh that out a little bit more by saying there's conflicts between the royal houses or something like that. But they're fighting over the water, and you have your organization that wants to create its utopia. So it's primarily concerned with controlling the other two and gaining influence. So, okay, you have our three on our Western style continent. All right, now let's pick one of those nations. Okay, we'll just call it Empire number one. We pick Empire number one. We'll say it's on the northern part of the continent. And we go visit them. And now we come to internal conflicts. This is the first case of we're looking at internal conflicts. I suppose you can argue that the elder gods could be a family, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is our first case of actual internal conflicts. So we're looking at this empire specifically, and we want to find what internal conflict is going on here. We know that this nation is at war with the other one over water, whether cold or hot war. There's a pun there. Anyway, but what sort of internal conflict is it dealing with? Well, all right. So this nation is dealing with, let's see. It's dealing with a fight for the throne. There is a question of who actually should be sitting on the throne. Who should be the emperor or empress? Maybe something happened to the royal family where maybe assassins from the other nation wiped out the current royal family, and now who controls the throne is actually in question. Right now, okay, perfect. It's in question who should actually be sitting in the throne. You have your two primary houses that want the throne. Or no, even better. We'll take this a third route. We have three people who want to control the country. You have the leading nobleman who believes that he should be sitting on the throne. He's of closest blood. Maybe he's an illegitimate child to somebody that it is perfect. He's an illegitimate child to the previous emperor. So obviously he's the emperor's son, but he has no noble house behind him. He should be sitting on the throne because he was the son of the emperor. But at the same time, so he's the son of the emperor, and we'll say he was illegitimate. Let's say he has the backing of the country's merchants. The country's merchants are identifying behind him because he's a man of the people. He came from rabble. He was a prostitute's son, and the merchants see that as an easy sell. They can get the people. They're tired of the noble class, so they can get the people behind this guy because they can put him on the throne. So you have rich merchants that are getting behind him and purchasing mercenaries and stuff to get behind him in case he needs to make a bid for the throne. On the other hand, you have the next closest person to the throne, a person who's unquestionably of noble blood. We'll say it's an archduke. We'll say it's this old guy, or just for fun's sake, it's an archduchess. All right, you have this older woman who she's not of the direct line. Let's say she's from the branch family, but she is the head of the branch family, and she believes I am of noble blood. I am a pure blood. I should have the throne. Yes, I am old. No, I don't have children. That can be. I don't have children. That can be changed. You know, you can flesh that out more later. But essentially, you have an older woman. She's an archduchess. She is the matriarch of the branch family. The main family was wiped out. She deserves to sit on the throne, not some bastard who was birthed by a prostitute in the slums. She deserves to sit on the throne. Okay, there you have two fighting for the throne there. You have a third group, which is, we'll pull in religion again and say you have the person who's currently controlling and sitting on the throne is the head of, let's say, the Church of Order. The let's call him a pope because that's what he is. We'll use it. He's the pope of the Church of Order underneath the elder god of order, or one of that god's offspring. And when the royal party was wiped out by assassins, he was already a naturally recognized, or a nationally recognized leader. So he took up the throne as a steward until someone could be determined. Well, now that he's sitting on the throne and leading the country, he doesn't view either of these other options as a good option. And in fact, because neither of them are particularly religious, they're not very much of the church. And really, that's what this nation needs. We're at war with this other empire, which is ruthless and has been proven to willing to wipe us out. And we really need the guidance of the elder god of order in order to win this war and to prosper. And neither of these candidates for the throne are really worth it. Maybe he doesn't say that outright, but that's what he believes. So while he's acting as steward and they're fighting it out, he's acting to secure the throne underneath the church so that they can remain in charge. All right, there's our three there for empire number one. There's a fight for the throne. We have a bastard son who's being backed by the rich merchant class, and thus the people. So he's got mercenaries behind him. We have a pure blood noble who has a house behind him, and probably other houses of minor nobility backing her. And then we also have the Church of the Elder God, who is in control and wants to remain in control because they don't trust the other two. All right. Now here's the fun part. All right. So now we got our national level here. Maybe each of those areas are based around a city. Maybe they're not based around the capital. You got your capital, but maybe each of them are based around a city. Like the main church of or the main city of the churches is in city number one. The Archduchess, the city where she reigns is in number two. Oh, okay, perfect. Her city is number two, off over here where it was her lands, right? And then the bastard is from the capital city, born in the slums of the city. Obviously, king slept with prostitutes. All right, so you have your three. You also have where they're physically, where they're geographically aligned as well. So all right, now we're going to go down again. All right, now we're going to go down into the city level. We're going to go down into, or at least the regional level around one of those cities. Let's take the church's level. Let's go to the city of the church, or the region that the church is hailing from. We'll go to their capital city, or we'll go to their city, right? Their city of influence. All right, now once again, we're dealing with internal conflicts. This internal conflict is going to deal primarily with conflicts dealing with that church in that region. All right, now what sort of conflict could be going on here, and what three facets are going to come out of that? All right. Okay, well, let's say, okay, so one facet is that we have the people. We have the people who, they're hearing rumors of the bastard king, of the man who would become, or the son of a prostitute who would become king. And they're naturally behind that. The farmers, they hear that, they are behind that. They sing tales of the bastard king, and of how great the country will be when it happens, blah, blah, blah. They're backing him, all right? Now, maybe on the other hand, that you have another facet is in the main city itself. You have the presiding, we'll call him a bishop. You have the presiding bishop of that city who looks over that while the Pope's away, and he agrees with the Pope. Absolutely, he knows the Pope's true intentions because he's of influence enough, and he absolutely agrees. In fact, to make matters worse, he views the support for the bastard king actually as the whispers of the elder god of chaos, and really it's his dark word getting into the ears of the elder god of order's subjects, and he will not stand for that. Granted, he can't come out openly because the Pope is trying to politique things in the right direction, but he can be more open than the Pope, which means he can actively, he can show support for the Archduchess and pass laws in the city to crack down on any rumors of support for the bastard king, and call it as actually just like it is. Obviously, the Archduchess has the claim to the throne. That is aligned with the god of order. If you oppose her, you're arguing for the god of chaos, and we can't have that. City guardsmen, go out, find anyone who whispers this, bring them and put them in the dungeon, because obviously these are either misguided fools or, at worst, agents of the god of chaos. And all of a sudden, in this region around this city, now you have the people who are secretly whispering and in support of the bastard king, and you have the regional government having themselves a witch hunt, having themselves a little inquisition and hunting them down, and maybe there's a little bit of a resistance there, like maybe they're getting a little bit overly oppressive, like lower lords and other governing bodies, they're abusing the power that this bishop is giving them. So maybe there's some resistance from people. Okay, once again, we got two sides, and we need a third group. Well, let's say, okay, perfect third group. You have your witch hunt coming from the church, from the bishop, and you have the people. Maybe they have a little rebel leader who do support the bastard king, and maybe they do have a little resistance to help anyone that is being gathered up by the witch hunt. Okay, all right. There's your two groups right there. Third group, actual agents of the god of chaos. Perfect. These guys worship the god of chaos. They believe in freedom, expression, anarchy. The most fanatic of them believe in anarchy. So boom, perfect. They just love this conflict between those two, and they want to take advantage of it to bring down the local government. Maybe this cult of that god in this area has been underground for a long time, because admittedly, this is the capital. This is like the imperial capital of that church. So the opposing church very underground, or maybe just very small. Okay, perfect. This is the perfect situation then to take advantage and try and spread out. So they are looking for opportunities to take advantage of the situation, spread the word of their God, or at least crumble and undermine the word of their opposing God. Perfect. We have our three groups here, their motivations, and what they're doing. You can easily create a person for each of those. Okay. Now, what we're going to do from there is we're going to go down again. We're going to go from this regional space, and we're going to go down into one of those different groups. So, like, let's say it would be easy to do. All right, this is an example, so let's stick with easy. We're going to go down into the people, into the group that supports the bastard king, the common man, that they have a resistance because they're actively being hunted down because yes, they do. They support the bastard king because his desires are in their best interest. Okay, we're gonna go down to them, and yes, more eternal conflict. All right, what three facets do we have out of these people? All right, you obviously have the hardline supporters of the bastard king. They want to raise an army, a militia, and go support the bastard king. They want to gather up as many able-bodied men and women as they can and go and support the bastard king's. When he eventually goes to take the throne, they want to go swear their fealty to him. All right, that's one. Obviously, that's going to be difficult for them, but that's their motivation. Another group of those people, you have the ones that, well, yeah, that's all great and good. I support the bastard king, but I'm really more worried about my farm and the fact that just because I support the bastard king, the bishop's men are going to come down and burn my farm, claiming that I'm an agent of chaos. That's a problem. Or, you know, I just want to defend my family. I just want to be I just want everyone in the region to be okay. Like if you want to join the resistance and run missions, it should just be to help those of us who are being oppressed by the bishop. Yes, I support the bastard king, but really I just want to be able to do my job and not be oppressed by the bishop. All right. There's your two. There's two right there, and then your third group. Um, you have your okay. You have your people who are hardline just against the bishop. They're maybe not necessarily quite. They're not necessarily quite agents of chaos like the other group over there, but they actually the bishop is the problem in this region. Um, it's obvious that the people support the bastard king, and as a agent of order, um, the bishop should realize that that's the new order, and he's fighting against that, and he's being oppressive. He's using tactics in controlling this area that's more akin to the agents of chaos. He's the problem. We need to remove the bishop from power. There's this deacon who actually would be so much better in that position. We really need to work to bring down the bishop. And let's say you have let's say all of these different groups are in the resistance. You go to your resistance cell and you have all three of these groups vying for what the resistance should do. Should we be raising a militia to go to the capital and support the bastard king? Should we be ousting the bishop because he's oppressing our people, or should we just keep the peace? Should we make sure that the bishop doesn't go too far because this will all blow over in a year or so once somebody's actually claimed the throne? Do we protect or do we just keep the peace? Do we oust the bishop, or do we raise an army and go support the bastard king? All right, we've gotten down pretty low to the micro level in that we're looking at a group of people in a region, in a nation, on a continent, on, on a planet underneath three gods. All right, we can still go micro one more time. So let's do that. And let's say, we're starting up a new campaign and we want to start small. We already have some great stuff. We already know we're going to be running it in this empire because we have some cool stuff going on with the bastard king and the archduchess and the pope. And, this region is the one that we're going to start in because, again, we got some good stuff to work with. We got the bishop. We have the bishop being overly oppressive and supporting the pope, even though secretly supporting the pope's secret ambitions. All right. So we got some good stuff going on in this region. And you know what? Eventually, I want my players to maybe join up with the resistance because there's good story there. There's lots of stories that they can deal with. Maybe they can bump into the chaos insurgents and there can be a whole mix up. And I have this great story plan with the resistance. Okay. The resistance is from this region. We can go micro one more time because I want to start small with these players. I want them all to be from the same village. So, all right, let's look at this village and let's use the rule of three. So we're looking at a single village in this or in this region that is under the influence of the resistance. Desert town or desert nation. Water shortage. Village has a water shortage. What's causing the water shortage? Well, the mayor is rich and is hoarding water. There we go. The mayor is hoarding water, and really he's rationing out water. Maybe there's a drought. Maybe there's a local drought, like the local well dried up or something, and they have to bring in water from a neighboring village, which is costly. And really, the mayor is the only one who has the money to do it. So he's the one that's actually paying the people that bring in the water. So, he's going to control the water. Mayor's hoarding water, rationing it out to the people. Okay, there's one side. You have the mayor being overly protective and hoarding his water. All right. Naturally, not everybody's happy about that. Maybe maybe we'll say one of the community leaders, the local tavern master is openly against that. Every time they have a town hall, he'll go to the town hall and he'll speak out against him holding water. How can he serve people water in his tavern or make his food for the people who don't necessarily have wives to cook their meals or are poorer and they can't afford to like keep a farm or the passing through. How can he keep his business running if he does not have water to do these things that a tavern master does? And it's all the mayor's fault because the mayor's the one hoarding it. So, he's constantly encouraging people to undermine the mayor. We need to have an election. We need to oust the mayor because, he's a rich, fat, greedy man who's just trying to, grip people, hold his grip on the town because it was founded by his great grandfather, and it's time for the village to have a new mayor outside that line. Someone else needs to be in charge. It's not me, but someone else needs to be in charge. This mayor. All right, so you have a mayor, you have someone who's opposed to the mayor, prominent figure, tavern master, constantly encouraging people to undermine the mayor. There's some good quests there. We'll come back to that. Now, our third group. We have a third set of people. We'll say, and we don't want to go down. I realize I have community leaders. We don't go down for there. We'll say say we have the sheriff and the guardsman, or if it's really small, the sheriff and his deputies. Okay, so we'll say there's sheriff and deputies, and he's kind of the third wheel to this. You have the tavern master who's openly calling for elections and is asking people to undermine the mayor. You have the mayor who is paranoid of things going to hell, so he's hoarding water. And then you have the sheriff who's kind of dealing with these two guys publicly butting heads and causing all these problems at town meetings and stuff. Now all of a sudden, people are getting riled up about this. They're not getting enough. He or she's getting more water than me. I'm not getting enough water. I have a business. I have a job. Blah blah. Blah. You have the sheriff and his deputies who just want to keep the peace. They don't necessarily agree that they may think that the mayor is being a little too tight-fisted with the water. Maybe he's keeping a little too much, not making rations too small. But at the same time, he is the mayor, and it's our job to A, protect him, and B, keep the peace. They just want to they don't want fighting to break out. Maybe he's in support of the re-election as well, though we can't outwardly say that because he's the sheriff. He's got to support the mayor because the mayor is the figurehead of the authority in the village, and it's his job to protect the mayor. But he secretly, yeah. So you have this third group that just wants to or you have this third figure who wants to keep the peace. So when my group is starting up in this village, and they've come up with their backstories where they could whatever backstories they have. They have a lot of stuff to. They have a lot of stuff now to build their characters from. Now let's look at this from a practical standpoint. What are they going to do? All right, we have a group of characters that are informed by the setting that we've created using the rule of three. What are they going to do in this village that they're starting small with? That's going to lead them to that resistance that I wanted them to. All right. Um, well, let's see. Maybe there's obviously quests going on here. Like I can think of three right off the bat. Tavern Master, they have the opportunity to maybe, since they are able to get things done, especially Thief, for example, maybe they could break into the mayor's estate and secure some water that the Tavern Master could redistribute to the townsfolk discreetly. Or maybe the mayor wants to send, or the mayor needs some added hands to protect the mayor's men, um, or to help them go get the water from the neighboring village, bring it back, and make sure it's secure. Or, and same thing, you have a sheriff. It could be as simple as, you know, the mayor or that water's come, or we're getting a shipment of water, and I heard that the tavern master is going to be there and trying to rile people up. I could use some extra help keeping people calm down. Simple stuff. Um, let's say let's say they choose to help with the water because the mayor offers, hey, if you help out, I'll give you an extra ration of water for the week. Um, you know, I'll give you some coin and an extra ration of water. That's good. All right, so go and do that. And they go off to, maybe they're not getting water from nearby village, or they have to go off to a nearby village. The nearby village is having a problem where there is going to be a witch burning. The bishop's men found out that a local farmer from this neighboring village is a supporter of the bastard king and is in fact a chaos and or in is in fact a chaos insurgent. He's not really, but they're going to make an example out of him because they can't have uh, they can't have you know they can't have support of the bastard king popping up. All right. So the bishop's men are, pressuring the mayor over here to, do this burning. Maybe the mayor, who's dealing with the other mayor's men and getting them their water, doesn't necessarily agree with this because he's secretly been supporting the resistance. So when he sees these adventurers from the other town come in, that none of the bishop's men know, and they can won't know because they'll be leaving town tonight. Maybe he'll have them come see him after the water. Maybe he delivers the water and he asks them to stay and have dinner with him before they leave. And when they have dinner with him, he asks them, or at least one of them, uh, essentially before it happens, like sneak in and rescue the people and take them over to the neighboring town and get out before the bishop's men see you. And sure, let's say they do that. It's a real simple job. They get the water that night. He tells them where they can find the person. They go and they rescue the farmer. And real easy. Maybe they go pick up his wife and kids, and they take him back to the neighboring village with the water. Or maybe they tell the water people, "Go on ahead. We'll catch up. We need to, do something like." I don't know. We need to follow up on something. They come up with a story, and then they bring the neighbor or the farmer and his kids over to the neighboring village. Well, when that happens, they there's rumors that all hell broke loose over there. Bishop's men took it out on other people, and are looking for you know certainly this farmer's a chaos insurgent now. He ran. We have to find him and burn him and the accomplices. So they're going out and looking for that, and they're approached by an outsider who says that he heard what they did, and he wants to help them. You know, essentially, he's a guy from the resistance that's saying, I'll help you get out of here and escape the bishop's men if you come work for the resistance. Boom. And then they get in there, they start dealing with that politicking. Bam. We have an adventure, we have a setting, we have good background for players to make their characters from. All from a simple, um, all from applying a simple rule of looking at three sides of a conflict and starting on the macro level and going down to the micro level. Now, naturally, what you would probably do, stick on the macro level and flesh that out. And as you keep going down, breaking down in the individual levels, you know, I do exactly what we just did for the example, then go back over to, we would go back up to the national level, look at the other nation, or not even that. Go start working your way back up. Go back up to the go back up to the three different groups in the region and look at each of them. Rule of three down. Rule of three down. Maybe not going as low as the village. We did that because that's the area we wanted to start in. You don't necessarily have, if you really want to overachieve, by all means, go into all the individual villages and stuff and rule of three them. But stick to those groups, rule of three them, learn their different aspects, so that you can come up with characters and like come up with the different schemes that are going on in the city. That's providing you quests and stuff, and then work your way back up, like kind of do like an umbrella sort of thing. Go up, down into the individual, up and down in the individual groups. Up into the region, look at each individual group. Back up into a nation, look at each individual group, going all the way down to at least the groups in a regional level, and then up back into the continent, fleshing out fleshing out that secret society and fleshing out the other nation. Now, granted, with the secret society, you might just end up, since it's an organization, you might end up stopping after you get your three groups there, unless you want to take those three groups in that secret society and center them around, geographical locations, in which case then you can once again rule of three it down. Point is, start macro, work your way down, and then umbrella to fill it out. Flesh out each conflict that you come up with, and you're going to find yourself with a very rich and very informed setting that your players have a lot to work with. And it's just based around looking at conflicts and at least three sides of them. Now I've talked a long time about this. Now that we've gone through an entire example setting, if you liked the setting that we randomly came up with, by all means take it and flesh it out. Please let me know, because I'd like to see what you guys do with it. Otherwise, I hope you find the rule of three very useful when you're building your own settings. Let me know if you end up using it and you have any success with it. I'd love to hear your stories and hear about your settings. Maybe you disagreed with my rule of three. Think there's another way of better fleshing that out. Great. Please feel free to leave a comment below. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.